Welcome to Thunder Bay Live. I'm here in studio with Mr. Andy Wolff, who's running for Current River Ward Councillor. And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Andy Wolff, and as you said, I am running for Current River Ward Councillor. The reason why I decided to run was because I felt that the city needs to have more unity amongst its citizens and the councillors, and I think that I could add a lot to that. Currently, I am serving on the Anti-Racism Committee.
Oh, good.
So I'm involved in the city there. I've done many presentations in front of City Council on the budget, election systems, the conservatory, bike lanes. So I've done a variety of things. So I've talked with many councillors, attended many ward meetings. So I'm very interested in the community. And
that's awesome.
yeah, and I grew up in Current River, so I'm pretty familiar with the ward as well that I'm running in.
Can you tell us a little bit about the racism committee?
Well, basically we get together once a month, and if any issues that comes up we would discuss, and of course there are groups that we go into, like right now I'm in a subcommittee which is dealing with getting youth involved in the to promote anti-racism.
And how's that going?
Well, it's going pretty good. I'm working with some good people with the Regional Multicultural Youth Centre and a bunch of the youth groups around there, and we're trying to get things together as well in there. So
perfect. And currently in your tract for running for councillor, are you knocking on doors? What's happening?
Oh yeah, I've knocked at this time about 600 doors.
Oh wow, that's hard work.
And it seems to be, they seem to be very happy to see me. I think that there's a look of relief on their face when I say I'm running for office, because they know I'm not going to sell them any cheap energy.
Okay, so you're a familiar face.
Yeah, I'm a familiar face, yes. And
you're also a musician.
I'm a musician, yes. I play in a band called the Resonators.
That's awesome.
I guess you could call me a Renaissance man. A little bit in politics, a little bit in music, but they kind of go hand in hand.
Yes, they do.
There's a big passion behind both of them.
Awesome. And so the response when you're knocking on doors has been very positive.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I ask them if there's any municipal concerns, and if they tell me, mostly it seems to be roads. One of the things I am doing is one of the things I went before council was with a group of people. We were trying to get a plebiscite on the ballot, because I felt that it was important with the multiplex that we all have to get behind this, and that's a part of the unity that we get in the city, that if a majority of people wanted it, or if a majority of people didn't want it, then at least we'd be united in that decision.
And did they actually accept what you did?
Or no, absolutely not. They just they decided that they knew best, and that was their decision. They felt that, you know, people, that's what you elect people for. But I mean, there's so many things that candidates have, so I've taken it upon myself.
Oh, okay.
I've taken it upon myself to ask everyone at the door what they think.
And what's the response been?
Well, I don't want to reveal the results as of yet. No. If you do have me on, I will reveal the results.
Okay.
I will make a public announcement just after the nominations close, but I will say this. The people that don't want it, it's not so much that they're against it, a lot of them, they just want to have our infrastructure and facilities fixed. And the people that said yes agree that we should have a majority of people for this. One person told me that if a majority of people don't want this, then if they don't want it on as a vote, then how are they going to support it when they have to actually go and pay and see the events? That's why we have to have a lot of people for this, if this event center is going to be successful.
Yeah, like I myself have only been to the auditorium a few times, and I was recently in the gardens for a concert, and during the loud music, there was stuff falling from the ceiling and the vibration.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a need for something bigger, something together. It would be nice. So at the event center, there's going to be an arena in there, a conference center, a couple restaurants. Is there anything else that they were planning on putting in there?
As far as I know, it's just a typical convention center.
Oh.
They want to have it so that you can have multi-purpose thing. But like I said, I mean, this is something that it's not going to happen for a couple of years. They're not going to build it, and they still are in the works of seeing whether or not they're going to get funding. I'm actually looking into it to see if there is actually funding in there, because there's been a lot of confusion with that.
Yeah, I'm not I mean, I've heard bits and pieces here and there about it, and I don't know what's happening really.
But like I said, I mean, I don't want this to be an election about the event center, and I think
No.
that's what some people are trying to say, that if you're for the event center, then you should vote for this person, because that's just only one aspect of the city. I think that there's many things we need to do. We need to emphasize our infrastructure, our roads, and even just communication in general with the people. I mean, there's a lot of people that are angry about a lot of things.
Oh, yes.
And I think that what we need to do is deal with that we need to deal with that conflict. We need to have good conflict management, which is basically talking to people.
Well, exactly.
And having more open communication, and if we are doing something, let people know we're going to do it before it comes to a vote on the 11th hour.
Well, yeah, I mean, social media has made people more aware of everything that's going on. And being a politician, everything you do is now not only in ballots and everything else, but it's also on social media.
Well, absolutely.
So-
Everything's instantaneous, and you could use that social media to get that message out to people a lot sooner.
Well, wasn't there an election in the States where somebody didn't do any campaigning whatsoever? He did it all through social media, and he won. And it was a big change in their Senate. And
Yeah. Well, that's a big thing too, even with our election campaign. A lot of the campaign is being waged on Facebook. I mean, I don't rely solely on that, but that is one thing. There's Twitter.
yes.
There's the websites as well. But, I still like the old-fashioned door-to-door in public meetings, because, that's where you have to meet the people face-to-face. That's where they get to really know who you are.
And people, it's an impression right away that you have to give them. And if you're talking about something that's dear to their heart, they're gonna listen to you.
And you get to see the reaction too when you're saying something what you stand for, that their note of approval.
What is the biggest thing when you go to the door? What are you finding that's the biggest conflict?
In terms of what
What's
they
happening
don't like in the city?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, basically it's general city issues for the most part. I mean, you'll get some of the specific things, like there is the LPH situation where they're worried that they're going to sell off the land and it's going to be zoned for housing.
Oh, okay.
Parks, certain things that they'd like, but for the most part, it's just the infrastructure, the roads, and
yeah.
that. And a lot of businesses, as well as residents, are really worried about the rising tax rates, as well as the water rates and electricity rates. So we got to find a way where we can manage our money better.
Exactly.
And I think that that's another thing we need to do, is manage our money better.
I know in the wintertime we would hear that we've ran out of money for plowing our streets, and that's,
Well, exactly.
it kind of makes people panic.
And getting back to the arena, if we can't manage a snow budget, do we really want to get involved in a $100 million project?
Wow.
I want to have, if we're going to go forward on any project, we have to manage it properly.
Absolutely.
And
I mean,
that's
there's
what's
so
important.
many,
Yeah.
so many things that need to be taken care of. Driving down Water Street, for instance.
Well, that's my big thing. If I get in council, that's one of the things I will lobby hard for. That has to be fixed. I mean, there's no excuse for that being that way. I mean, we have tourists that are visiting our
Yes.
city, and before they even see our waterfront, this is what they're driving on to get there. And if we can't show them, our roads, then what are they going to think about our city? Because that's going to be the first thing they feel and see,
Well,
and it's
yeah.
going to be the last thing they
Especially if
feel
you're
and see.
driving a boat or a trailer down that street.
Exactly.
It's very, very
Yeah,
rough.
exactly.
And it's amazing.
Yeah.
Is there any reason that street hasn't been fixed that you know of?
Well, I've inquired a number of times. I've never got any answer
No
back from
answer.
engineering, and we've brought that up in many ward meetings.
And
I was actually shut down in one ward meeting because it wasn't in the ward. It was in the North Wood meeting. I wanted, because an engineer was there and I wasn't allowed to ask him the question, as he was there specifically for the ward issues.
oh, I see. Okay.
So it's there's certain things that nobody wants to address. I don't know why. Because I mean, you would think that would be a street that is fixed.
Oh,
But then,
absolutely.
but then again, of course, the other big worry is we've seen some of the recent streets that have been fixed, and they're already starting to fall apart. So there is another thing. If we are going to do something, let's do it right.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
certain type of pavement that they can use that's a little bit better, that'll last longer, but it does cost more money.
Well, what does it cost us in the long run?
I
You
mean,
have
if
to
you're
think of
constantly
everything.
replacing
Exactly.
it's like buying a cheap pair of shoes.
You get
You're
what you
gonna
pay for.
Keep having to buy a new pair of shoes.
Yeah, you get what you pay for, and that's what you got to do. So you got to make it a worthwhile investment.
Absolutely. Is there anything else you want to tell us about today?
Well, like basically, I'm trying to run a campaign where it's open, honest. I think that there needs to be more transparency in City Hall.
Yes.
One of the things I would like to bring in is the fact that I think that we have to keep a record of how each councillor votes, each member of City Council.
Like when they have their meetings. on
Yes,
Mondays
they should be
type
a
thing.
recorded vote for everything and all issues,
I thought they do record it. Like,
only by request.
Oh, okay.
The City of Toronto has something in place where on every issue they do vote it.
okay.
I would like to see all the expenses online. We don't know what the expenses of the waterfront development are. I think that even those who are ardently against it would at least be satisfied in the fact that they would have all the expenses there. So we have a right to know where all our tax dollars are. So as a councillor, that's one of the things I am going to push forward. Any expenses I get my hands on,
Right.
I will put it online.
Okay.
I will even put my councillor expenses online.
Is there a reason they don't do that? Like, I'm not saying that's an excuse. I'm
yeah.
wondering if they're.
I don't know if there was a reason why they don't. They've never given me a reason. I've asked. There just hasn't been a response.
Sounds like a very gray area.
Yeah, I unfortunately I never did get a satisfactory answer to that.
Wow. How big is Current River Ward actually?
Well, you'd be actually quite amazed, and I was actually when I discovered the ward many years ago. We are in Current River Ward in the studio.
This is Current River.
Yes,
okay.
it is. It's in Current River Ward. The border is on Red River,
Oh.
and it goes all the way obviously up to Strathcona, but it
Right.
actually goes down to Copenhagen Road,
Oh, I did
down
not
by
know that.
Briar Avenue.
That's very large.
Yeah,
Wow.
so it's a very large area.
So you've been in areas where there's dead ends type
Oh
thing?
yeah,
Where you're going?
yeah. Up in Black Bay by Centennial Park, there was a dead end street there. I've been in literally four corners of Current River.
Oh wow.
I've been up by the Vance Chapman area. I've been down. I haven't been downtown here yet, but I've been along Cumberland by the dam there. And like I said, I'm just starting, but I do intend to cover every door if I can.
Wow. It seems that early in the campaign, and you've already knocked on, you said 600 doors
Yes.
plus, or
Yes.
is it 600?
Well, 600 plus.
600
Yeah.
plus, and you've had a positive response.
Oh yeah.
And you're looking for honesty and integrity.
Yep.
And accountability.
Accountability. Got to
That's
have
the biggest thing.
accountability.
And that's kind of rare.
Well, like
I mean-
the thing is, that's what you got to show, because if you are showing people that you're owing up to it, and I'll even be accountable to myself. I mean, if we all make errors, we all make mistakes, and I have not seen over the past 12 years one councillor apologize for any misinformation. There obviously has to be something over those 12 years that they did not do right, and unfortunately, we don't get that. And I think that that's what we need. We need that courage to come forward.
That's definitely.
And
a big
people
one.
will respect that.
Mhm.
Because if you're up front and forward, they'll respect you because they know that you're learning from your mistakes.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
those are the things I like to, go forward. I actually would like, rather than have the position of counselor define who I am, I would like to define what a counselor is.
That's awesome.
And there's not many people that do that. Basically, I think that counselors need to represent people as opposed to
Yes.
representing an administration. That's what we've been having
Well,
for
you
the
have
past
to-
12 years. So,
You have to reflect here
Yeah.
what you want your community to be like.
well, exactly,
And
and
that's-
they should be involved in the decision making. There should be more involvement with them
Awesome.
in there.
Well, I'd like to thank you so much for being here in our
Okay.
studio.
Well, thank you.
And this is Kelly and Mr. Andy Wolff from Thunder Bay Live. Thank you very much.